applause for Daniel Williams. So Daniel, I've heard people say that theory before. I used to travel a lot for work. I've been all around the world. And I think it's actually the opposite. They're better drivers because the laws in some of the countries are just fucked or completely ignored. I did a gig in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh. And a buddy and I were standing by the edge. We just had dinner, edge of the road, out on the sidewalk. And there's 6 lanes of traffic, 3 this way, 3 that way. We're in an intersection, and we wave down a taxi. The taxi drives across all the other lanes, because he's in the middle lane, drives across the other lanes, parks into the sidewalk, not on the sidewalk, into the sidewalk. We get in, he backs up, and he pulls right in front of all 3 lanes of traffic and just waits for the light to turn green. We're like, is this normal? And evidently it was, and it's Saudi Arabia, so you do not honk and you do not flip anyone off, because that's a shooting. Or you go to India, and in India there's 3 lanes this way, 3 lanes that way, and there's 6 or 7 lanes of traffic. Maybe you're just better. You're better at dodging these people. You're a much more defensive driver, yeah? Otherwise, you're gone, I think. Pretty sure that's how it works. Anyways, big round of applause for Daniel Williams. So the next up on stage is me. So put your hands together for Ski. So it's weird to do something after a bunch of comedians that isn't comedy, but I think I'm going to talk about driving. Not just because you led into it, because I've actually been thinking about it. Tonight is the night. I don't know if you've really spent a lot of time outside tonight, but it's a very cool, very crisp type of evening. I love driving in these conditions. And when I was out driving tonight, even though it's just a quick drive here, I was thinking of the road trips that I've made in the course of my life, and tonight feels like some of those. I was stationed in Germany back in the 90s, and I remember driving all the way from Augsburg, where I was stationed, all the way up to Frankfurt, in the middle of a blizzard on the Autobahn. And the Autobahn is supposed to be gorgeous, but I could literally see about 10 feet in front of the car. The headlights on, it was just a constant windfall in front of me of snow, and I couldn't see the side of the road really. I just had to look for where the snow kind of dipped off on the shoulder. And I'm driving, squinting, right next to the steering wheel, driving as fast as I could without being stupid about it. And the reason was because every now and then, out of nowhere, these cars would drive right by me on the left-hand side, because the Germans did not slow down for something as stupid as a blizzard. Like, this is here all the time, just drive. And they just zip by me, and it was terrifying. I drove that way for like 3 hours, all the way up to Frankfurt, with cars just appearing out of nowhere and disappearing in the blink of an eye, so fast that there's absolutely no way that they saw me, let alone could have avoided me if I'd accidentally drifted into their lane. I remember coming here about 19 years ago, driving from Seattle all the way across through Montana and the Dakotas in the middle of February, where the wind would blow these sheets of snow across the road, and it looked like I was crossing rivers, invisible rivers, carrying bits of snow across. And I remember not being able to pass a semi-truck that was going like 40 miles an hour in this really strong wind in the middle of the snow, because I couldn't get by him because the back of his semi-truck was swinging in and out, making it just slightly too dangerous for me to try to overtake him in a minivan stuffed to the brim with everything I could possibly fit from my house in Seattle. I remember driving in the desert in the middle of the night down in Death Valley. The Army has a training center there. And I remember driving in a Humvee with night vision goggles on, where everything was green like some old Battlezone game. And the drivers ahead of us, maybe half a mile ahead of us, would hit moon dust patches, these big pools of sand that were so fine it would sit in the air and just hold there. It would take them ages to drop back down and settle down. And they would drive through them, and by the time we got there, it was just this wall of sand hovering in the air. And you couldn't see where you're going. But it was peaceful anyways. You'd drive through it and hope that you'd see the brake lights before somebody else, before you had to hit the brakes yourself. Tonight is that kind of night. It's crisp, it's clear, and it would be the perfect night in my mind to go out and just drive and drive and drive and drive. And I don't know what you do, but tricks. Everyone has tricks to stay awake. When I'm driving on these long road trips, and I start getting tired, I roll down the window just a bit to let the cold air in, and I sing songs to myself until my whole body is vibrating with whatever tune I have going through me, and I just drive. And it's wonderful. Thank you.